The title here is Twitter brings rescuers to wounded triathlete. This is from Thursday, July 29, 2010. And I know I'm going to say this person's name the wrong way, but I'm sorry about that. Leah Fazina, I think that's how I say her name, was laying on the ground panicking. Her bike was crushed. Her helmet, which had just flown off her head, had a big dent in it. She was coughing, dry heaving, spitting up dirt. That's when she turned to Twitter. And this is her tweet, quote, I had a serious injury and need help. Someone please call the Winding Trails in Farmington, Connecticut, and tell them I'm stuck in a bike crash in the woods. This is not a joke. I am in the woods in a triathlon, bike crash, can't get up, no one is around. I'm yelling for help. And she says, I'm number 241. Please call the park. I am out of wind and pain, sun setting, and I'm trying to keep calm.
Hey, Dr. Jonathan!
So
yeah, I've been.
So take us through that night. What were you doing? Basically like wasting time on Twitter. But then you saw the tweet. What was going through your mind there?
Well, I was actually. That's exactly what I was doing. I was sitting here studying for, quote unquote, studying for boards, and I always use Twitter as a method to distract me. And so I just happened to glance over at that moment, and I saw actually a tweet by Lee Fazina, as well as a tweet by my friend Coffee Julie, who had been the first person to respond. And she's from Canada, so she was attempting to call originally the park that Lee was at. And I saw that she was doing that, so I immediately responded and said, how's it going? Do you need me to call as well? And then she said, I can't get through because I'm from Canada and I'm having trouble getting through. Can you take over? Now, at this point, although I did call, I do want to emphasize that there were probably 4 or 5 other people that also called who will never know who they were. We actually learned that they called from the police. So I certainly wasn't the first person, but I was just the most vocal person about it on Twitter. So it wasn't just me by any means. But what originally happened was I called the park, and the park actually was closed, and they had a recording, and they had no emergency number. And then what I did was I then tweeted that out, and that we were looking for that I was looking for the local number for the local police station, which many other people were also doing at that moment. They just didn't tweet about it. And then I found the local number for the local police station, and this was as Lee was also sending me BlackBerry messages. She was able to send BlackBerry text messages, not text messages, but the BlackBerry Messenger messages. And so I got that. I was getting those from her too, and she was giving me updates on her precise location. And by precise location, I mean she was telling me the names of some of the signs that were around her that were on certain trees that were mentioning the trail she was on. So when I actually called the police, they seemed to already know or be aware that she was out there. They said, "Oh, do you mean that girl who's out there in the woods?" And I said, "Yes. Let me get. I have some more detailed information about her location, though." And so they were very receptive to hearing that, and I gave them the name of the trees. But what that told me was, wow, there were already a bunch of people who called and to say, "Hey, here's we don't know where she is, but she's out in the woods." So. It certainly wasn't just me. It was a whole group of people on Twitter from really all over the country and even all over the world who were getting together, because I know that when it was on the news, there were people from Canada, California, and Canada, of course, originally calling, but also other states on both coasts, Pennsylvania and New York, where I was calling from. And then within minutes, it seemed like she was actually, she said she was tweeting out, "I see lights, I hear sirens, I'm going to be okay now, thanks everybody." And then she literally gave us a play-by-play as she was being taken away by the ambulance by giving us photos of her being in the on the stretcher and in the ambulance, and even when she was at the hospital. So it was all quite heartwarming to all of us it was all quite heartwarming to all of us on Twitter to be seeing this in real time, but to also know that she was okay, being the first people to know. So it was really an amazing story, people coming together on Twitter. When she was out in the woods, and she said, she grabbed her cell phone or her BlackBerry to be more specific, and she originally made the decision of, okay, I'm going to try to call somebody, and she tried to call somebody, and then she wasn't able to get through. Basically, she didn't have signal to get a voice call through, and then she thought, well, what could I do? I could text message a friend or family member, and then there's no chance that they'll see that immediately, because you have to realize at this point she wasn't really able to move. She didn't know how injured she was. She didn't know if she was going to lose consciousness anytime soon. She didn't know if she was going into shock, so she was trying to think, how can I get the message out to the most people in the shortest period of time? And she knew that on Twitter she'd have over 1,000 people following her, and a bunch of them were bound to see it, and that ended up being very true. And so it was really a wonderful example of how Twitter can really literally save lives. So it was a real privilege to be part of, and we also want to thank all the other people who were involved, many of them who we don't know who they were, but we know that many other people were involved. Yeah, it really just speaks to the power of Twitter and how it's, the power of human connection doesn't have to be in real person, although that probably wouldn't hurt. But
and the beginning of the article, it says, and she said she after the initial one, she said, the second one was, well, this is not a joke. Did you think it was, a joke? Did you think it was not true when you saw the first tweet out there?
That's a good question too. No, I really didn't doubt it for 1 minute. Not even a second. I didn't doubt it. I knew from, reading her tweets and from being, from considering her a friend, that I knew that she wouldn't, and I also know that she's very professional, so she wouldn't tweet something like that unless it was serious. And actually, to tell you the truth, I don't know of anybody on Twitter who would tweet something like that, even me. And I mean, most of my tweets are humorous. But I even wouldn't tweet something like that unless I really meant it, and I think that also speaks to the caliber of people on Twitter. Most people on Twitter, are professional people and they have good senses of humor, but that's just not something you joke about. So I don't think anybody doubted her for 1 second, and fortunately we didn't. But that's an interesting question.
So have you gotten to speak with her since all this happened at all, or?
Yes, she's doing well. She went to the hospital. They did, they did a full exam and everything, and she actually got to go home very early the next morning, I believe. And fortunately, she didn't have any major injuries. She didn't have any broken bones or anything. So she's recovering right now at I believe at one of her relatives' house, so they can look over her. But she's doing well. She actually was on the local news, which she has a link to on her Twitter feed, I believe 2 days ago. And so they actually videotaped her showing her bike that was all mangled up now. But she's slowly recovering. Yeah, she's doing great. I mean, but keep in mind, she's a very the way that she actually fell, if you read, which I'm sure you've read about the traumatic experience, how she literally flew in the air and then tried to land so she didn't land on her neck. She very much could have, this, Dr. A, as a physician, I mean, she could have gone, she's very lucky. And also that's partially because she's an athlete and was in very good physical shape, but it could have gone a lot worse than it did. She could have easily had a lot more serious trauma, but she's doing fine. And I'm sure she'll make a full recovery. And she will go back on the bike trails, but always with Twitter, she said. So.
Yeah, how was that conversation? That had to be interesting. The cop is like, "Are you friend? Are you family? Are you a stalker?
Yes.
Are you what's that about?"
No, that's exactly right, and that's what he. That's when I initially called, I spoke with a lady who said, there's a police department, and I said, okay, this is going to sound a little odd, but I have some information about a lady through Twitter, and she said to me, are you with her right now? And I said, no, but not in person, but I am with the contact with her through Twitter. And so then she said, oh, okay, you're one of the, and then she said, we already know about this. And then she sent me over to the cop who was on the case, and I was able to give him some of the more descriptive information that she had just tweeted. But he also sounded rather skeptical about it. But I think by the time that I had talked to him, he kind of knew that, wow, there's 4 or 5 people calling from Twitter. This can't be a scam, especially since they're all calling from different area codes. But yes, Dr. Ag was initially very apprehensive about if they would take me seriously. Especially having a little bit of experience working with EMS people. They're very hardworking and they're very serious, and they try to make sure that the tips they have are solid. So everybody worked really well, and also the police station and the EMS folks in Connecticut were also tremendous. So it was just a night where everything seemed to work except her voice connection on her BlackBerry, but everything else worked. So it was really just a wonderful story.
Great, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you using the power of Twitter to. I know there's a lot of guests in my chat room here right now, and I think they're all here listening for you because you have just that sultry voice there, Dr. Jonathan.
It's Dr. Jonathan live show, which will be the week after or the end of August. So stay tuned for me and my wonderful host, Potato Chip. we try to really, cutting edge. We try to do live music performances. Live jokes, live stand-up comedy, medicine, whatever comes into the mix. But Dr. Anonymous, I certainly do enjoy listening to your show all the time. So
sure.
You're one
this
of the
could
people
be
who inspired me to start my own.
Oh, well, thank you so much. So this could be a real big 1-2 punch for Thursday night. You can have my show, and then you can have your show right afterward, and people wouldn't need to do anything else on a Thursday night. So that'd be great.
Yeah, that's right. They would have nothing else to do. I mean, it would be like a late night lineup, like Conan and Jimmy Fallon afterwards. Or it used to be that anyway.
Yeah, just don't kick me out of my time slot. That's all I'm asking.
No, no, I won't kick you out of your time slot. And also, the thing about Dr. Jonathan Live is we go for like 6 to 8 hours. So
that's right. That's right. Yes.
It just keeps on going because we just can't stop. So we have that much fun with it. So we're hoping for the next show to be the last week of August, and then hopefully we're starting to do regular shows weekly after that, because right now my schedule is just a little bit too depressing to do the show.
I'm sorry about that.
But yeah.
But coming up,
well, you remember.
Yeah, coming up at the last Thursday of August is my 3-year anniversary show. That's going to be a big night in the
for all of America or all the world,
all of the internet. It's going to be a landmark night.
It's going to be a wonderful night, and Dr. A is going to be celebrating, and we're going to be celebrating that on the Dr. Jonathan Live show as well. So yeah, it's going to be a memorable night for Dr. A. I'm sure he's going to put together a bunch of clips from his past shows, like all the highlights, right, Dr. A?
That takes too much work. I'll just have people call in and tell me how wonderful I am for the past 3 years. That'll be easier to do.
Well, probably. I agree. That's part of the reason why I love live shows, because I'm just kind of too lazy to do a pre-tape show and then edit it. That's too much work.
I don't do much show prep. In fact, for this show, Saturday night, Kat does all the show prep. I just kind of read the stories.
Oh, okay.
That's
Wow.
That's what you need Potato Chip to do. Potato Chip needs to just do the show prep for you. You just do your show and be pretty.
That's right. That's right. I need that. I Dr. A. I was telling Potato Chip earlier. I was like, Dr. A and Kat. That's like the model of our show. I mean, that's going to be us in a few years. So.
Oh no, you can be better than that.
Yeah.